How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. I have had a great response from our new series, which we are covering overnight flipping as well as batch flipping. They're very similar, and we're kind of going through the differences and also how you can use them together in these videos. And it has been pretty awesome. I'm really excited that a lot of people have enjoyed this new series. So we're going to definitely continue on this new series. If you have questions, please put them in the comments down below. Something else I want to mention too is that you will want to watch the first video in this series, which I will put on the screen right there. The reason why is because in this video and in the future videos for this series, I'm not going to explain every single thing that we've already covered, because then we're just going to be wasting time on stuff we've already covered. So be sure to watch that first video in order to really understand the techniques and everything that we're going to be using throughout this. If you guys are looking to get the most out of this video series and you want to get more information, including exact buy and sell prices, you can join our Discord down below. We have almost 12,000 members. There's a lot of people to ask about this stuff, and pretty much everyone is doing this stuff for overnight flipping right now. If you go to supply prices, which is in our open flipping chats right there, then you can see how we're price checking like the ores and everything from our first video. If you're interested in unlocking our Patreon sections, you can check out our brand new sale that just started today. There is a limited number of spots for these, so when they sell out, then they will be removed, but they're available right now. It actually just started right now at the time of making this video. Every single one of these sections has its own list of items that we price check every day, all day, of exact buy and exact sell prices. So if you go through here too, something you get with this sale, and only with this sale because it's supposed to be for this new series, you can actually look at the overnight prices, where I am actually posting every single weekday all of the prices for all of the items that we will have for this entire series. So today's list should help out quite a few members that are actually in our Discord already, because I am going to be covering some of the favorite items that are flipped in there. Today's set of 8 items for you to flip overnight or do batch flipping, whichever one you want to, are going to be Ascension items. So we've got the Ascension Keystones. These are probably like, honestly, in our high volume section, I think this is like the most like requested thing, or like whenever I ask what people are flipping, they're flipping these. So I want to kind of like enhance the strategy here and show you some other options you can do besides just actively flipping these, because you can totally do these overnight or just for batch flipping. Just for a quick rehash there, what batch flipping is it just means you're going to be posting an offer and you're going to be buying multiple buy limits before you sell. This is very efficient because you don't have to sit there and watch and you know, get one buy limit, then sell them off, then another buy limit, then sell them off. For a lot of people that have jobs and stuff like that, it's like impossible to keep up with. So this strategy is amazing if you're finding yourself not having all day to play Runescape, shockingly. So the average margin on the keystones is going to greatly vary, actually. But if we take a look at our flipping spreadsheet, I'll show you what they usually are. So this right here is our flipping spreadsheet that is included with literally every tier of our Patreon. So if you've never seen this before, that's probably why. But if you have the Patreon tier, then make sure you go check it out. That way you can actually use this. This is super useful. So literally all of the items that we flip in our Discord have data on these sheets. So it took me forever to make these sheets, and hopefully people are really enjoying using them. But I want to go ahead and show you what this sheet looks like now, and you know, see, like, so that way you can see how to do the Ascension stuff. So go ahead and screenshot this or whatever you want to if you're planning on just using this on your own. That's totally awesome. So the average margin on these keystones each is between 5,000 and 12,000. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher, but this is just like the average margin that we find. And this data is pulled not only from my own flips and experience, but it's also pulled literally from the thousands of people we have in our Discord, so it's pretty accurate. The wait time to update. So this is if you are actively flipping. If you're doing the overnight and batch flipping, it's not so applicable. So I'm just going to like quickly touch on this, but that's how long you want to wait before you would update your price. And then the amount to update by is going to be 100 to 300 gold on these Ascension Keystones. And what that is aimed for is if you update by that amount after waiting for that amount of update time, then that should increase and give you the fastest results for flipping the item while also making the most profit. You don't really want to try to update quicker, and you don't want to try to update by more because you're just going to be cutting into your own profits. Something you can do for this amount to update by for the overnight stuff is you can use this when you let's say that you have your overnights or your batch flips, you buy a bunch, and then in the morning you go back and you're like, oh, I didn't get any, or I didn't get all of them. Then you can actually do another price check if you want to. That's probably going to be the most efficient way. Or if you think that it's, you're just a little bit off, you can use this amount to update by to update your offer and let it sit again. It's very useful for that. Also on this sheet too, we have the buy limit for 4 hours. So there is a 300 buy limit on all of our Ascension items for the different keystones. And these two last things here for risk and overnight flip risk. This is pretty useful if you're someone who uses our flip sheets, because the risk column is going to be, this column right here is going to be for when you are actively flipping them. And so that means the risk is going to be low. And then if you were doing an overnight flip on them, it tells you the risk as well, and it's going to be low as well. So which was another reason why I chose these for doing our batch and overnight video. Something else to mention here too is that if you are using the flip sheets, obviously if you're not, this is not going to apply to you, but this is very helpful, and just in case you didn't know and you are a member using them. The column here, if you see it in light blue, that means that it is a good item for active flipping. And if you see it shaded in purple, that means it is a good item for overnight flipping. If you see this not shaded in, that means it's probably not good for overnight, or it's probably not good for active. You get the idea. So let me introduce the other two items, and then I will tell you exactly how much you can actually earn per night. Although if you just read the title, then you probably already know, but I'll explain where those numbers come from. So if we look right here, the other items are going to be Ascension grips as well as Ascendry bolts. So Ascension shards, you can see, are here on my Grand Exchange, and I considered putting them in this list, and they are good. I left them here because if you have less money and you can't afford to buy a couple buy limits of all these items, then you could definitely consider doing Ascension Shards. You could definitely substitute those for the Ascendry Bolts E that I'm about to suggest, because those get very expensive. So I just want to leave that there for another option. If you do want to do Ascension Shards, then be sure to use that strategy I showed from the first video of actually looking at the graph to see what the low points and high points are, because as you can see right here with my price check on Ascension Shards, 144 to 145 is not very good. Even though they have a buy limit of 10,000, you're going to make hardly any money on that. But the thing is though, and I commonly do this, you can buy them for much lower than this and sell them for much higher than this. You can look for margins of like 20, 30 gold each, and then that does add up to be quite a bit of amount of gold. But if you have the gold to be able to afford the better items here that I'm going to suggest, then probably go with these better items I'm going to suggest. Also too, I just want to mention this. Don't use these prices from this video. Use these as an example of what the margin can be on these items, and also like why I'm suggesting them, but don't use these exact margins here, guys. You need to go and check the prices on your own, because thousands of people see these prices and stuff like that. So please do your own price checks, or look in my Discord. That way you can see what the prices currently are. Don't lose money by using these prices. They're going to change. So Ascension grips are another item here. So if you look at Ascension grips, it's pretty awesome because they have a buy limit of 10, which a lot of people don't realize they have a buy limit of 10, which makes them a pretty awesome item actually, because they have an average margin of something around 350,000. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty awesome. Sometimes you can get above that, especially if you're doing overnight and batch. You can consider trying to get above that. And it's awesome because they have a buy limit of 10, which means you're looking at 3.5 million profit per buy limit, which means that overnight you're looking at 7 million gold. If we're talking very quickly about the price like the margins that you can make on the keystones themselves, going by the math of everything we have, which I totally wrote down right here on my sheet, that way that I for sure give you the right numbers. There is a 300 buy limit on the Ascension keystones, which means that buying 2 buy limits overnight, because that's kind of ideal. Most people sleep for 8 hours a night, so that's where we get the two buy limits, by the way. That means 600 of them is how many you can buy each night. There is 6 different keystones, which means you'll be taking up 6 slots. And the average margin that I showed in that sheet was between 5 and 12,000. But I'm going to be honest with you guys here, and like usual, I do try to give you guys the real data. If you look at my price checks, you will see how Primus had over 11,000 margin. So as you can see, the margins definitely do hit those really high numbers. But then you'll see over here, you'll see Cordis has like a 2.5 thousand margin. You got like a 4,000 margin here on Quintus, or however you say that one. Secundus is something around 5,000-ish. So as you can see, it's going to greatly vary. And if you look right here, Tertius is about 7,000. It's going to greatly vary and hit in that average margin. I would say something that you could like rely on is going to be something about 6,000 per key on average. Now, obviously, I could have been like 12,000 each, guys, and made the number in the title a lot bigger, but I'm not really trying to clickbait. I'm just trying to show you guys a great opportunity to make a lot of money overnight. So let's go ahead and use the 6,000 as the average margin there. of what you can actually realistically expect to get. And that will give you about 21.6 million to 22 million gold per night by using those 6 slots. The last thing in here is going to be the Ascension Bolts E. And I'm going to be honest with you, be real honest with you guys. Ascension Bolts E are amazing when they work. And sometimes they don't always work perfectly. So this one's definitely gonna take a little bit more practice than the keystones are or the grips are. The keystones and the grips, you really shouldn't have much of a problem like being able to like really use those to their fullest extent. Also, really quick reminder, watch the first video in this series if you're like, how do I do this? Because I explained that in the whole video. I just don't want to do it again. Obviously, that would be pointless. But here we go. Ascension Bolts E, guys. 10,000 buy limit. What is up? They have a 10,000 buy limit, which is crazy. I love expensive bolts for doing overnight and batch flipping because, I mean, you can buy a lot of them. So if I had a buy limit of 10,000, you're looking at 300. Here, let me get that right. Boom. No. 20,000. Okay. My overnight batch flip could get me 20,000 of them, which would cost 716.5 million roughly. You might not be able to afford that. If you can't, kind of like I mentioned in the first video, use less of them, buy a little bit less of them. Also, Ascension Bolts E do not have the biggest like volume in the world, so sometimes and usually you'll end up buying less than what this says. If I put an offer in for 20,000, I might wake up to 15,000 of them, or I might wake up to 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever. It's probably not going to be 20,000 unless I just got really lucky. So the ideal amount of money that you could earn on the Ascension Bolt is going to be about 20 million gold. Now, another reason why that's amazing and why it's still amazing even if you don't buy a full 20,000 of them. Even if you can't, maybe you can't afford this, or maybe you just don't get lucky enough to get that many of them overnight, or the price shifts or whatever. It only takes 1 slot, guys. 1 slot. Well, that's 2 or 11, but 1 slot. That means that you're either making 20 million gold, or maybe you're making 10 million or 5 million. Regardless of what it is an amazing use of that extra slot. And so that's why you can see it doesn't really matter if you get all of them at once. So giving some decently ideal and actually pretty average situations, you should be able to clear about 50 million gold per night doing 2 buy limits on all the items I just showed. That is using the strategy of batch flipping overnight. So you can aim totally. Okay, so I've had a couple people ask me now, could I do more than 2 buy limits? Yes, you can totally do more than 2 buy limits. I want to try to answer a couple of questions we've had here. You can definitely do more than 2 buy limits. If you're going to be gone at work and then you're not going to be back on at night and then you're going to wake up the next day and you're like, oh my goodness, it's been like a full day since I've come back on RuneScape. That is 6 buy limits. You guys can totally do 6 buy limits. If I've estimated here a 50 million profit on 2 buy limits, that means if you did that, you could potentially get 150 million profit. Now, obviously there's a lot of time in between there, so it's going to take some practice. Please practice these things. And also, don't go all gung-ho. If you're someone who's never done this strategy before, watch the first video, watch some of my other content, ask questions in the comments down below. Please ask your questions. Ask questions in the Discord, learn, and also try not to like blow all of your money at once because this isn't that difficult to do, but it does take practice. I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for this. You guys have been awesome. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't seen the graphic pop up 15 times now. But I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to be covering another set of 8 items that you can do for overnight flipping and make some mad profit. All right, guys, see you next time.